All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to you, sincere Akimak, pushing the truth across the four corners of earth. All right, I'm the brother Shaman of Great Millstone, Chicago. All right, just a quick hit, because still, even to this day, man, you got Jake who they can't see that. They can't see certain things in the scriptures, like the Northern Kingdom being the so-called, indigenous people, which are already over here in these different Americas. All right, this being Babylon. One thing about the scriptures, though, they flow together, and it tells you that in the Apocrypha how wisdom and knowledge it all, circles back upon itself. All right, but this is well, let's let the scripture speak. So like it. All right, because it says, Genesis 49:13. It says, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and a border shall be unto Zidon. Right. And we know that this is over, across in South America. We know Zebulun is talking about the so-called Panamanians, right? Because when you look at all these ships, and these blessings too, these are talking about in the latter days, what I'm saying? Some of them played out earlier, right? Just like the one before. It said, his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. We know that's talking about Yahweh Shai, all right? Verse 10, it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. All right, so we know that the different kings had to be of Judah. All right, the first king was a tribe of Benjamin, but it didn't work out because it wasn't through the Spirit, and certain things had to play out. All right, but this one was just talking about the haven of the sea. This is talking about in the end, all right, because we know that when we were in the Middle East, we were over by the Mediterranean Sea, but there was no haven like that for the world. All right, if you were on the Mediterranean Sea, you were a merchant. You would go to these different ports and places, and you can trade different things, and that's why whenever you see whoever rises up, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, right, the Persians, the Romans, the Greeks. Everybody wants to take over that entire region because they want to control trade, and they want to be in control of those people who have been made rich off of that trade. All right, and of course they know who their enemy is, which is the Israelites. All right, the number one enemy to the nation of Esau. All right, and the nation of Esau has been allowed to been given, because the scriptures tell you that too. They've been given charge over this whole earth. All right, and in the top place, well, I'm gonna let this article tell it, where the ships come through and make a haven. All right, going to this article, I just looked up Panama Canal haven. That's all I put. What does it say? Panama is a tax haven. Is Panama a tax haven? Let's see what it says. And this is just an example of being able to go through the scriptures and being able to put two and two together. All right, how a U.S. president and J.P. Morgan made Panama and turned it into a tax haven. In 1903, the U.S. bullied Colombia into giving up the province that became Panama. The plan was to create a nation to serve the interests of Wall Street. This goes back a long way. The Panamanian state was originally created to function on behalf of the rich and self-seeking of this world, or rather their antecedents in America when the 20th century was barely born. Panama was created by the U.S. for purely selfish commercial reasons, right on that historical hinge between the imminent demise of Britain as the great global empire and the rise of the new American imperium. All right, and what does the scripture say? That the 10th horn will rise last. All right, this is the 10th horn on that beast. I believe, yeah. This is the 10th horn. It says. In 1903, the administration of Theodore Roosevelt created the country after bullying Colombia into handing over what was then the province of Panama. Roosevelt acted at the behest of various banking groups Now, what a surprise! A president acting upon the interests of banking groups. All right, still done to this day. They'll admit it was done in the past, but now all of a sudden things have changed. Even though these people have been made, trillions of dollars richer by internet trade. All right, which goes to show you, most people don't pay attention. Among them, J.P. Morgan and Company, which were appointed as the country's fiscal agent in charge of managing $10 million in aid that the U.S. had rushed down to the new nation. All right. So even though the U.S. kind of created this country, guess what? It still counts. All right. Mexico was made small. All right. Issachar was made small. All right. And then Babylon had to take over. Guess what? Is now in possession of Babylon. All right. All these nations which Esau came up and set up, Jamaica, Costa Rica, or they were set up, or they may have been the people there, but the boundaries were not necessarily the same. Let me say it like that. All right. Puerto Rico, it wasn't called Puerto Rico. All right. So our people, Black, Native American, and Latino, we take pride in all of these different names that Esau has given us. All right. Black, Puerto Rican, Colombian. Some of them were already influenced by certain what they call indigenous languages. You got different places, Chihuahua or names like that. But then some of them, Esau, he came and he set that name in there. All right, Phoenix. All right, all these different names, and the scripture said he's gonna do that, man. He's gonna call the names at the land after himself. And who did that over here? Esau, Edom. So there's no denying, who they are according to their empire and according to the power that they have done. All right, so it says, yeah, that's basically it, man. That basically is the point. All right, that proves this scripture though, what we just read. All right, the haven of ships, the haven of the sea. All right, that proves that. Because then at the end it says, Revelation 18-17, and these different ships too, man, when they bring through stuff, because they have to cut through Panama, otherwise they were going to have to go all the way around the bottom of South America, past Tierra del Fuego, just to get to the West Coast. All right, but instead now they can cut through Panama. They can save, I believe it cuts like the time in half. Panama's right there in Central America. Boom, they can cut through on the Panama Canal, and now business is booming, and America was made rich off of the Panama Canal, as we just read. Matter of fact, I'm going to read a little bit more. Because Esau, just like everywhere else, they put the public government in, and they make sure to keep that money rolling, or else. All right. You get the Panama invasion. They'll come through with lasers and fuck your whole shit up. All right, because Esau done, when it's time, you fucking with that money, or you want to rebel, or, hey, we don't, we want to take control of our country back, the people want it, then here they come, in the middle of the night with fucking lasers and blowing up shit. They'll do that, man. The tribe of Ephraim, man, they killed them down to, I want to say a couple hundred people, right? Just coming through and slaughtering them, and a lot of the women, they ran along with Esau too. All right, so hey, ultimately at the end of the day, man, we carry our nations on our shoulder, man, as the Lord had it, and that's why the Lord gave men the power to carry the seed of our nation. All right, and then if we deal with whatever woman from any other nation, guess what? She receives that seed of your nation, and bada boom, that child is going to be a child from your nation. All right. A woman can't do that, man. If she deals with any other man from any other nation, then guess what? She's going to bring that nation's fruit into this world. All right. That's why men and women do not have the same power. And that's why nations, you go to different people, even though they are Israelites, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, they like their women to deal with the men of their nation because they want to keep their nation strong. They want to keep, they want to keep that to themselves. That's why the scriptures say a woman is a possession. All right, but back to this though. It says J.P. Morgan, which J.P. Morgan, they're still in power to this day. Let the what does it say? How ye rich men? These men were made rich. J.P. Morgan led the American banks in gradually turning Panama into a financial center and a haven for tax evasion and money laundering, as well as passage for shipping, with which these practices were at first entwined when Panama began to register foreign ships to carry oil to carry fuel for the Standard Oil Company. Standard Oil, we know that's Rockefeller, in order for the corporation to avoid U.S. tax liabilities. All right. So when you talk about reparations, man, this is the kind of shit we're talking about. All right. That oil was stolen. All right. A lot of this stuff was created. A lot of these machines and different things were created through slave labor. And then not only that, but they're going through these different tax havens in order for them to avoid having to pay certain taxes on what they're selling. All right. And they were made rich. These men were made. These men at the top, they have trillions of dollars. Right? And you know you'll never meet them out on the street. It says on the slipstream of Standard Oil's wheeze, Panama began to develop its labyrinth system of tax-free incorporation, especially with regard to the shipping registry, with help and guidance from Wall Street, just as the U.S. and Europe plunged into the Great Depression. So we were in a depression, right, because of the elite bankers and the different stuff they were doing. Meanwhile, they're in the whole, different hemisphere of the world making money hand over fist. All right, this is how they were made rich. And guess what? 2008, during that so-called crisis, all right, they played the market. They recognized all those different shares which weren't worth shit, which people had invested in. They were made rich too off the so-called housing crisis. Guess what? The COVID crisis, once again, made richer. All right, the same stuff happening over and over again. These people, they invest in the setup, they invest in the punch, and boom, But now, all that stuff's coming to a close, man, because the Lord is putting is throwing a wrench in their plans. That's why the scriptures say before He's gonna fill His belly, basically the Lord's gonna come back and the angels are gonna come back. All right, the elect is gonna be taken, and then power is gonna be transferred over to the nation of Israel. All right, the government of Israel is gonna take over, the real government. All right, but it says that's basically it, man. Different offshore accounts, and Esau's the king of that. So by the 1970s, when the U.S. government had tightened its tax evasion loopholes, Panama went into the kind of full service we saw last weekend. Banking deposits soared from small beginnings in 1970 to 50 billion in 1980, according to the Tax Justice Network. All right, now if all all these ships and all this stuff was going through their country, you would have think Central America, they should be rich. They should be rich beyond belief, because the U.S. government actually built a canal, helped build a canal to cut through their country. All right. So, you need to repair the canal. You got to have, engineers see this and that. You would think, right, that they would become rich off of that. Wrong, man. Those are amongst some of the poorest people in the world to this day. It said at the same time, 2 treaties were signed in 1977. One that gave the U.S. military carte blanche to defend the canal. Boom. That's how they did it right there. One of the ways they do it. They're still cutting through to this day. Another agreeing to hand the waterway to Panamanian sovereignty in 1999. All right. And then it goes into some other stuff, Noriega and the history. But as you can see, though, you can see the high stakes game that these bankers have been playing for years, man. It's not just conspiracy. You actually have historical accounts which account for the different things that they were doing. All right, just like we just read. All right, but this is Revelation 18 and 17. And this goes to show you how bad the Lord is, man. These people have had trillions of dollars made off of this stuff. Trillions. All right, it said for 1 hour, in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught. And that you gotta read, and you just gotta pause on that, man. 1 hour. All of the shit that they've done, all the wars, all the corruption, all the racketeering and manipulation, all that stuff in 1 hour. For all these years they've had in 1 hour. This is how bad the Lord is. That he can stop you like this. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. And that's those talking about those shipping containers that we saw, from the beginning, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? All right. Because like I said, even one container, they bring forth, billions of dollars of cargo every year. Millions, I say millions, Salakia, maybe billions. But if they keep moving, though, and they keep bringing stuff from China, they can make a lot of money. All right, they keep bringing those containers over, which are cheap to make. All right, and then those ships, too. You have a lot of sources which say those ships, those container ships, actually are created in the same dimensions as the Ark, all right, Noah's Ark, which again, that's Esau copying the Most High and using his designs, for them to create their designs, man. That's why the scriptures say Jacob is the former of all things. Now, Noah was not actually an Israelite, all right, but when he came back on the earth, he was a righteous man. He would have been back into the nation of Israel. All right? He's somewhere back on the scene, this day. We don't know who he is, but he's here. All right. And this is all, Bible prophecy linking up, man. All right. That's why, they had to stop all those ships coming over from China, and this was the perfect, little Maxine, this whole Salakia, Crown Royal situation was perfect, to stop those Moabites from making money, because they realized the game. That's why they're heavily invested in, their oceans now, man, the South China Sea. That's why they're heavily invested in them shipping over products and them producing things, all right, because they want to be next, all right, but they're not going to be next, all right. The nation of Israel, we're next in line, all right, according to prophecy, according to the Lord. All right, so I just wanted to bring that out, man, just a little bit of interesting facts and showing you, the history of Esau and how that links up with Bible prophecy. Lord willing, is edifying. Shalom.